You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
Well, good evening, Radio 1 listeners. It's good to be here with you this afternoon. You're listening to the Lyndia Grant Show here on Spirit 1340 WYCB. You can hear us all over the Washington, D.C. area, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. But you can also hear us worldwide. If you go to your internet and click My Spirit 1340, Spirit 1340. Spirit 1340, listen live, and you can get right on there and hear this show no matter where you are. All right, I am excited today. We are talking about the unveiling of the African American Civil War Memorial, a monument designed by Ed Hamilton, a dream that Councilman Frank Smith had, our Ward 1 councilman, who served the citizens of D.C. for 16 years. And I think I got him and the sculptor Ed Hamilton on. Are you both there? Are you there, Dr. Smith?
Yes, I am, Lyndia. How you doing today?
All right. I'm doing so good. Looking forward to tomorrow. How about you, Ed? Are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Lyndia. How are you?
All right.
Hey,
Ed. Good. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Good to hear your voice.
Good. Always a pleasure.
So we're going to talk after our commercial, but first we're going to talk to Dr. Julian Malvo. We always have a little politics every week. I'm so glad to have her. Are you there, Dr. Julian?
I sure am.
All righty then. Dr. Julian, for those who may not know, is a speaker extraordinary. She is one of the president emeritus from Bennett College. She has her PhD in economics, a world traveler, president of Push Excel, the youth organization founded by Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson out of Chicago, Illinois. She's an author, and I'm glad to have her as my friend and talk about politics every week. Go ahead, Dr. J.
Well, first of all, let me congratulate Frank on his accomplishment with the work that they're doing with the statue they're building. And I do it because it segues into something you and I, of course, were very excited about this week, the unveiling of the Bethune statue in Statuary Hall. This is the first time a Black person has been selected to represent a state. Every state gets 2 statues, and they kicked out some Confederate whose name is not worth mentioning so that Dr. Bethune could have a statue. You and I are both life members of NCNW, and this was just an exciting moment for Black women, but also for Black people and, you know, for people who care about education. So this is shout out to Dr. Bethune, and we're really excited about that. A lot of stuff to talk about, but I'm going to go off sequence just to talk about this young man in Akron, Ohio, Jalen Walker. This young man was shot 46 times. He had no drugs in his system, no alcohol. After they shot him 46 times, then they handcuffed him. He was probably dead already. The NAACP says that the Department of Justice must investigate. Many others are saying they must investigate. But this is, we could call the roll, and the roll now is too long. But Jalen Walker's name is one that we really must remember and lift up. 25 years old, by all accounts, just a model citizen, killed by the police. Killed by police. What's new? Speaking of crime, etc., Tops Market is reopened in Buffalo. Tops was a place where the crazy white boy went and shot, killed 10 people, and wounded a 3. Reopened today, and lots of people were excited.
We're getting got some feedback, Dr. J. Are you someplace, or is that somebody else?
It's not me. It's somebody else. I'm sitting in my office, and nobody is in here with nothing they like.
Okay, mute your phone, Dr. Smith and Ed. Mute it. That way we won't hear that background noise. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, but in any case, Tops reopened. It's something to think about. Some people wanted to be torn down and made into a memorial. Others felt that that part of East Buffalo was a food desert, and they needed that supermarket. So it is news, however, that it did reopen. Now, the top news, if you're a consumer, and all of us are consumers, is that inflation. Now, yesterday we got the inflation numbers, 9.1% from a year ago. We've been talking, India, every week I tell you all about inflation, but we've been talking about 8%, 8.3%. 9.1% is alarming. From a year. But gasoline is 60% higher. Food is 20% higher. That's where most of this is. Are we headed for a recession? Economists are still not decided, but one of the members of the Fed went to Woods Hole, Wyoming, which is where a lot of economists meet from time to time, and he said he didn't think there was going to be a recession because the unemployment rates were so low. But guess what? Still, you have disproportionate unemployment, especially among black people, and you have and people keep saying they have a labor shortage, but the labor shortage is a function of they ain't paying nobody. Excuse my Ibadas. But if you pay people, they'll come to work. They're not paying. And so when we look at this inflation number, it's alarming. And it is bad news for Brother Biden. Joe Biden has got some of the lowest approval ratings that any president, Democrat or Republican, has seen at this point in their tenure. His ratings are, low 40s, high 39, high 30s. People are not feeling him. I don't think he's doing a bad job. I mean, I wouldn't give him an A+, but I might give him a B. I don't think he's doing a bad job, but I think that this administration does not trumpet their achievements very well. They really have very poor communications as far as I'm concerned. But even more than that, I think that people are blaming him for things that are not his fault. Still, can the administration turn it around, or in November are we going to see a Republican House and perhaps a Republican Senate? Speaking of Biden, he went to Israel and then to Saudi Arabia. He met with the monster who ordered the killing of a Washington Post journalist. He was there to persuade him to pump more oil so the gas prices could go down. My question is it worth it? Do we want to get in bed with a despot in order to get lower gas prices? Now, some people are going to say yes. But they probably been in bed with some other folks they didn't need to be in bed with. That's another story. But in any case, we just have to look what comes out of this in terms of what we end up with. He did raise the issue of basically human rights violations in Saudi Arabia, but having raised the issue does not mean he said when he was campaigning he would not go there. He said he would not support that, but now he has. And I guess that's a function of, first of all, our inflation and our gas prices, but secondly, a function of his numbers. But I don't know that that's going to help him or hurt him. Now, COVID is back. COVID is back with a vengeance. In L.A., the city council is talking about a new mask mandate. You cannot go to LAX without a mask on. You simply cannot go into Los Angeles airport without a mask on. But this is, this is what we're heading for, and it's challenging, if not frightening. Everybody get your shots. Just get your shots. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. So I would just say that. And then, we will come back to next week or the week after, but the abortion fight is not going away. The House passed a legislation to codify abortion access, but the Senate isn't going to pass it. And basically, women's bodily autonomy has been totally compromised, and we know that. I saw a young man actually on the outside the other day. He had a T-shirt on with Clarence Thomas and an X over it, and it said, "Your marriage is illegal." And that's not nice, but the fact is that Thomas said they could revoke any privacy provisions, and that would include same-sex marriage, interracial marriage, same-sex relationships, and birth control for married people. That one always gets me. I mean, how can you tell married people they can't have birth control? But in any case, the abortion issue continues to rage on. And then finally, I know I got to go. Finally, let's talk for 1 second about the January 6th hearing and what we're learning. And basically, I think the orange orangutan is about to get his hot monkey self indicted, because what we're seeing is that he actually was an active participant in what happened at the Capitol. So it's been a busy week, but we've been having busy weeks. Lyndia, it's interesting. Usually the summer is kind of slow, but not this summer.
No, not this year. Thank you, Dr. Julian. We appreciate you so much. My goodness, that was a lot of good stuff going on. All right, well, listening to the Lyndia Grant Show here on Spirit 1340 WYCB. We're going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about the 24th anniversary of the unveiling of the Spirit of Freedom Memorial located at Vermont Avenue and U Street. We have the man who had the dream, and then Dr. Frank Smith, and then we also have the sculptor whose hands God gifted to make that monument a reality. Back in a moment.
If it wasn't for my care coach at AmeriHealth, I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't, and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Washington and former religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus. In lectures on brotherhood, Ms. Parks often said, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired." But that wasn't true. I was not tired physically. I was not old. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in. Driven out of Montgomery by harassment and death threats, Detroit, Michigan became her new home. Rosa Parks will always be remembered as the mother of the civil rights movement. Raised in the AME church, she once said, "I remember finding such comfort and peace while reading the Bible."
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at washingtoninformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
This is Frank Smith with the African American Civil War Museum in Washington, D.C., located at 1925 Vermont Avenue Northwest on the Green Line. Did you know that a recent study found that children who visit museums do better in school and in life than children who do not? So parents, teachers, and preachers, let's get moving. I promise you, if you bring your children to the African American Civil War Museum, they will be inspired by the images that they see. They will be impressed by our living history reenactors who are always available, and they will be involved in our scavenger hunt that takes them throughout our exhibit. That's the African American Civil War Museum, 1925 Vermont Avenue. Our hours are 10 to 6:30 on weekdays, 12 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. See it, be inspired.
All right, we are back for our second half of our show, where we're going to be. I'm excited to talk to these two gentlemen, men that I have worked with now for probably more than 30 years, and I'm so happy. Always happy to have Dr. Frank Smith on. I have him on quite a bit because he's local here, and I try to have him on Veterans Day and Memorial Day and every kind of holiday I can come up with, Dr. Smith, so we can talk about the Spirit of Freedom Memorial and what you got going on U Street. Councilman Smith served as citizens of the District of Columbia for more than 20 years, starting out on the D.C. Board of Education. Then he served 16 years as a council member for Ward 1. And then he saw the movie Glory one day, and his whole life changed. I don't want to get into SNCC. He was in SNCC, too, you all. He worked with Dr. Martin Luther King and all the SNCC civil rights men from Morehouse College, Atlanta, Georgia, Mississippi, all over the place. But what we're going to talk about today, since we only have a little bit of time, is that dream he had about starting a monument. And when he saw the movie Glory, it wasn't like the ordinary person who would see that movie and forget about it. It changed his life, and it changed millions of us, of all of our lives. So welcome to the show, Dr. Smith, and then I'm going to introduce Ed Hamilton.
Thank you very much, Lyndia. I'm looking forward to talking to Ed Hamilton because, I talk about him almost every day out of that African American Civil War Memorial. I know his ears be burning back there in Louisville.
Yes. Well, why don't you introduce him? You go ahead and introduce him.
Well, he's our sculptor. When we started working on this monument, we were focusing on these 200,000 names of soldiers who were in the Civil War. We knew there had been soldiers from all over the country. Some of them, about 150,000, were enslaved when the war started, fought their way to freedom. So we reached a point where our architect said, Frank, nobody have any idea what these soldiers would have looked like unless we find a way to put something up here. So he drew a little circle on the ground and said, let's go find us an artist and get them to create something for us. And the Lord led us to this young man who's on the phone now, who did something remarkable for us out there. And so I'm going to let Ed talk about it a little bit, about the spirit that led him to create this iconic monument now that people see every day and just marvel at it every day.
Yes, they do.
Say a word to us.
Thank you, Frank. It's wonderful to be on the phone with you guys. I look back. This is one of the most important monuments that I have created in my life. And I was so blessed to be able to be a part of this blessed project. I wanted it so bad. Anybody who's a sculptor wants to achieve something to put in Washington, D.C., because Washington, D.C. is the city of monuments. And I just wanted to do that monument so bad. But I knew that I was at a point where nothing's guaranteed. I really wanted it, and I worked hard for it.
Amen.
I think you can tell. I think you can testify on me, Frank. Did I work hard for it? I worked hard for that, man. I worked hard for it. I wanted that monument so bad, I could taste it. But it has been a blessing because when I look back, after I created the small version, we went through various model stages. We went through with the wonderful architect, Paul Devereaux, who was our main architect, Ed Dunson, who was the other architect on the job. And, I had to become a team player because not only did I want to please your committee, Frank, but I needed to please the architects because the architects wanted to choose the artist that best worked with both committees. And so I had to really feel like that I was being a part of this. This whole design was not my design, so I didn't want to infringe on anything. But my role was to come up with the complementary piece that would speak and work best within the total design. And that's what a sculptor does. Sculptor works with architects, and then we create something that works in conjunction with each other. You know what I'm saying? And so when I came up with that semicircular piece, I wanted to complement the other half semicircular of the walls with the names on it, you see? And I saw that early on. I thought that was so important.
Right. And now let me lead you to something that's very special. I want you to talk about this a little bit, too. You have on this wall, for people who haven't seen it, on one side there are 3 soldiers and a sailor. And then as you go around on what we call the concave side of it, there's a family back there. There's a mother and a grandmother and grandfather and kids. Yes. There's a soldier back there with a rifle in his hand.
Yes.
And I that was what sold this thing to us. Let me tell you, for the committee, they looked at that and they just said, people's eyes start watering, man. Tell us about that concept. What is that? What's the artist's view of that concept?
Yeah. Remember the meetings that we would come to and talk to your committee?
Yeah.
And one of the committee members that you had on your committee was a pastor. I can't think of his name right offhand.
Reverend Green.
Reverend Green.
Yes. Dr. Green, yes. He's the one that said, you know what? Wouldn't it be interesting whoever got this project could include family? Now, I picked up on that. When I picked up on that and got my way back to Louisville, because, I had to come back to Louisville because we had to put something together. Yeah. I sat at my desk, Frank, and I evaluated the situation. I looked at the front and then I looked at the back. when I created that first model, I didn't think anything was going to be on that back side. I just thought there was going to be a negative void, you see. But I kept hearing family. So that's when I did a quick little sketch, and that little sketch turned into that back side. The soldier, his wife, his baby, his two little children, his mama, his daddy, could be her mother, could be her daddy, grandmother, grandfather. When you look at it two different views. You can either view it as he's come back from the battle or he's leaving to go to the battle. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the grandmother's got a cotton sack that she's holding because they were slaves. They were picking cotton. You see what I'm saying? So when I did that, I didn't know if that was going to fly or not. I said, I'm going to put this on here because what other war memorial do you see out in the public sector that has that includes family on it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was a blessing.
And most of our visitors that come there are young people. You know, they're high school and under, and it's low enough so these young people can see. And I'm helping the public now to understand this a little bit better because if you haven't seen it, if nothing else, I want to pique your interest enough so you'll come out there to see it. There's a little girl on there that's holding a baby tell us about that. How you created that image of that kid with that little doll.
Well, I thought about the time period, and I thought, well, she wouldn't have no little cute little white porcelain doll. You see, somebody would have created a doll out of some wood or some burlap, and that's what I was thinking at the time. You see, and so that's what would have been her type of doll, and she wouldn't have mattered because it was something that she could hold and caress.
Absolutely, she was clutching it to her side, like you could tell she loved that. She's
clutching it. You couldn't take that doll away from her if you wanted to.
But let me just jump in. Let me jump in, gentlemen, because we're going to run out of time, although I'm enjoying this. But I want to invite people out tomorrow for the 24th anniversary of the unveiling of the Spirit of Freedom Monument. It was done on July 18th, which is Monday coming.
That's right.
But Frank Smith decided we would do it this Saturday so more people will be off and can come down and see it.
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead, Dr. Smith, and invite people down right quick.
Absolutely. Now, this is a good reason to tell them to come out there, Lyndia, because if they haven't seen it, maybe they have seen it. See, a lot of people go out there, they don't even get to look at the back part of it. They can
appreciate it more. They can appreciate it more.
Listen, this thing is so powerful. People come out there and see those soldiers on the front, the sailor. That's all they know.
Yeah.
They look up there and see that Spirit of Freedom up at the top. They don't even look at the name.
Right.
Man. You have to say, did y'all see the Yeah, man, this thing is stolen the show, man. So maybe somebody's been out there to see it. They didn't look at it. So see it again for the first time.
I got to tell you,
bring your kids.
Yeah, thank God I was blessed to be able to do that. I'm so pleased. You know, if I don't do another one, at least I got that one.
But you've done a lot, I'm telling you. Listen, you all, the ceremony tomorrow is at 2 p.m. Come to the African American Civil War Memorial, Spirit of Freedom, Vermont Avenue and U Street, Northwest, right across from the big red Grimke School, which is where our new museum is coming later on in the year. So I just want to invite you to come out and celebrate 24 years. It'll be even bigger next year because that's our 25th year, and the museum will already be there.
Right. But let me just
say, I love you, Lydia, and I love you, Frank, and take care and be blessed and keep on doing what you're doing.
All right.
Thank you, Ed. We're glad you could join us.
Wife for me. And give her our love.
Take care.
Okay.
All right.
Will do. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Frank, you got about another minute.
All right. I'm going to sum up right now and just say tomorrow at 2:00 at the African American Civil War Memorial. And if you haven't had me do one of these tours where I talk about all those things I was talking to the artist about, you should come out there tomorrow. I'll take a few minutes and show it to you. We're going to have some the Vermont Avenue Baptist Church Choir. Solomon Sparrow is bringing some people out there from Vermont Avenue. We're going to have some people from Freed, our women who dress in period dress, are going to be there. A spokesman for the National Park Service, which works with us on this monument, is going to be there. And, of course, our soldier of U Street, Marquette Milton, who puts on his uniform, and he really thinks he's a Civil War soldier, y'all. He thinks he's only about
I know it.
But he thinks he thinks he was here in 1860 himself.
I know.
So it will be a wonderful experience. And of course, Lyndia Grant's going to be there. Let me just say, Lyndia was on my staff. The reason why I keep calling on her is because I know I don't have to school her. She already knows all of this stuff because she worked on it 25 years ago. I don't know if that means Lyndia, you got to be careful. Just 24 years. Any number that you add 24 to is going to make you.
I don't care. I'm 71 years old, and I came to work for you in 91, so it's okay.
Well, Lyndia, listen, I'll be in the next month. I'll be in September. I'll be 80. So I'm a little bit ahead. Oh
my goodness! I didn't know you were getting ready to be 80.
Yeah. But hey, look, the Lord has blessed me.
But you're still moving around so good. I love it.
Well, listen, the Lord, it's not as they say, not for the good I'm doing, but by the grace of God. And
Amen.
I'm happy to see. And I know you and I.
Well, Frank,
to see this.
We got to close out now, but thank you, though, and I will see you out there tomorrow. And I hope that everyone will come out for the 24th anniversary of the African American Civil War Memorial on U Street at Vermont and U at 2 o'clock tomorrow. We hope to see you there. All right. Thank you, Dr. Smith. All right. Okay. We invite you to come out and join us tomorrow, Sunday, at our church at the All Nations Baptist Church with my pastors, Reverend Dr. James Coleman. We're located at North Capitol and Rhode Island Avenue, and he's preaching a series called Jesus, the Light of the World. Next week, we're going to have another guest, and you'll see who that is when we get back next week. I love being on here with you every Friday. Let me close now by saying words, thoughts, and deeds have a boomerang effect. So be careful what you send out. Scripture says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. So think on these things. From the Lyndia Grant Show, I am your host, Lyndia Grant. Until next week, good day.
Thank you for listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.